I would like some intelligent people to check it out. Moon orbit wrong according to Cornell University. This is a blog site, but there's a video attached, and I'll put some links down below, of course. Moon orbit wrong, Cornell University Associate Lorenzo Lorio has researched, I'm sure because of public outcry and observations made by you, my friends, visitors, and others on the internet, and concluded that indeed there is something wrong with the Sun, Moon, and Earth, taking into account the possible Planet X saying a potentially viable Newtonian candidate would be a trans-plutonium massive object like Planet X. Cornell University tells us that. Quote,
we're going to go into an organized effort on how these trolls, we have found the leader of who the troll is, that is trying to take down our YouTube channel once again. But remarkably enough, it looks like the YouTube channel is going to be reinstated. If you look right here at about 17 hours ago, I go, again, I think this is funny as hell. You had to debunk this one. You can still see it appears as if you can see it through the tree lines. Too funny. This is the best evidence I've seen yet. Slow it down and watch. No way, this is a hoax. Well, this is the second time I posted this. I had posted it about 3 hours earlier. And also there's another one down here called the Galactic Federation Reacts to Termination of Susan Adams Accounts. The reason why I posted this is because I wanted to prove how these trolls pay attention to every word and how they stalk my Facebook profile. If you look right over here, of course, I put the new 32 Degrees of Insanity 8/29/2012 Dual Sun Herculobus Planet X are real, the smoking gun. Well, I did this for a reason. I did this to set a trap to see if these trolls would come out and maybe I could find out who the ringleader was. Well, in fact, I did. Because there's a video out right now called What the F Moment, Planet X Sunrise equals Debunked. Right here you can see at 18 hours ago, T-Bar 1984 comes out with this particular video. And as you can see, you are right, of course, because I just had to see if Donnie would take the bait. He did, of course. Hopefully this will be his final straw. Read this comment on the original video here, YouTube, and then he gives this because, you know, they're like, why do you support his stuff as well? So what I find funny is now we have an organized effort of, we know that T-Bar now is responsible for the organized effort against my channel. Interesting enough, when I told you a little bit about also this particular video right here, the Galactic Federation Reacts to Termination of Earth Adams Account, I posted that about 17 hours ago. Within 5 minutes, guys, within 5 minutes, that if we click on it here, watch what happens. This video has been removed as a violation of YouTube's policy prohibiting hate speech. Sorry about that. All the video said is I'm going to slaughter the trolls. So if trolls are actually people, well, then I could see it would be some sort of hate speech. But how are trolls, aren't they mythical creatures? I thought they were. That's what I thought. But how can you have hate speech against trolls? Unless there's an organized effort or some sort of software program that's actually sending out and flagging these videos. And of course, you can see right here, the proof is in the pudding, that they are trying to set a bait or trying to set a trap to bring down these videos. Now, I want you to take a look at this video again. And as you can see, also, guys, here's something quite interesting. I put my name in the search engines. It looks like Donnie Gelson's official 32 Degrees of Insanity YouTube channel is, you know, you can see 10,735 subscribers. It looks like it's coming back in the search engine, but when you go to it, right now, it looks like it's still gone. So I'm not quite sure what this means. Could it mean that they're rebuilding everything? Because I mean, I've got like over 300 videos. They probably have to go in and reestablish everything. So it looks like, let's cross our fingers, that now it's showing up in the search engine again. So that means that the channel is coming back. I hope That's what it looks like. But still, when you press on that, you still get the account has been terminated due to repeat or severe violations of terms of service. Now, what I don't get is how the hell, you know, these other guys can use copyrighted footage. And actually, Illuminati Symbol 13 is a very close friend of mine. And as you can see, as she's driving along, you can see this particular object clear as day in front of everything. And it does the exact same thing that any sort of sun would do if it's both of them are doing as they go through. If you ever take video of the sun, it's going to. And a lot of people are going after this particular place right here. Let's see if I can stop it. Let's see if I can bring it back here just a tad bit. They're trying to say that this is a... Did you see that? That little reflection there at 31? They're trying to say right as we go here. There we go. Right there as it showed up as a reflection. But it showed up as two different reflections. And of course it was just shining through the trees, guys. I'll back that up again so you can see it real quick here. There we go. See, and you can still see there are two definitive bodies. But what I wanted to take a look at is, like I always do, is go to see where it is in Stellarium. Of course, it is at sunrise, so it's about 11:31, 11. It's about an 8-hour difference in Tennessee. And of course, we see it at the deck in Ra. It is actually in Leo, 10:35, 16:11, 07, 04. But then I looked at the Raw and deck as well of 10:34, 36, 11, 11, 0, and I noticed something quite interesting. I also saw that it was an ISC 622. That's an actual galaxy, all right? But when you take a look at Sky Map, what do we see right over here, guys? Yep, that is the so-called Herculobus system right here, the infamous system right here, right off to the right-hand side. But if you would be looking at it, because we know that telescopes are looking in reverse, it would add up. It would be in the perfect spot where the sun was. Sun would be right here, the perfect spot on the left-hand side of where this was shot. Right like this. Here we go again. Let's take a look at it right there. You can see it right there. She caught the smoking gun, guys. Right there. Perfect as you could be. If we look at Stellarium, we see right here, she's in Tennessee. She's a good friend of mine. She's right outside of Nashville. So she is right there, as you can see, right in the sun. Bingo. You can't. It's too perfect. Absolutely too perfect, guys. Also remember that the NASA event tomorrow to discuss black holes and extreme objects will be going on. It starts at 10 a.m. tomorrow. NASA will host a news teleconference at 10 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, August 29th, to announce new discoveries from its Wide Field Infrared Survey Explorer. Could this be coincidence? What's happening tomorrow as well? We have the Mitt Romney at the Republican National Convention, and also Hurricane Isaac is going to be hitting landfall, and it is the 5th year anniversary of Katrina. Is this all coincidence? No, it is not. And one more thing about coincidences. Of course, we see here in Tennessee, right outside of Memphis, that the sun is in at 11:31, or at sunrise. 11:31 is UTC, so it'd be about 6:31 in the morning. Sunrise, we can see that it is in Leo. And a lot of people are like saying, well, how come it's supposed to be coming from the south out of Antarctica? But here we see, if we go down and we take a look at the same exact time at Newmar Station, this is interesting. Watch this. Look at where the sun is. The sun is in the same constellation of Leo at the same exact time. So it's in Leo, just like we've been talking about the whole time, is that it's moving into Leo and then moving down into Aquarius and into, I believe, it's going to end up in Aquarius right around December 21st, 2012. Let's continue. Also, if you want to see something kind of interesting during that same period of time, about a half hour later at 10:27 at 12 UTC down in Antarctica, we're going to see something very interesting move out in this direction. Well, it's the moon. As you can see, it's right here moving up. It's very, very faint, and you can see it move up. But what is causing the moon to appear during the day? Usually we don't see it until some sort of light source picks it up. It's very, very faint, so that to me tells me that there is something bright behind there. As you can see the moon moving back and forth right there through Nearmar as I page through this on the same exact date at the same exact time. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and play my good friend's video here. And as you can see, she's actually in her car, she's in the passenger side. She's viewing this from her own two eyes.
What? Okay, never ever seen this before.
Now, interesting enough, look at the wings here as well. See that wing right underneath the sun? Looks like it's a larger body in the lens flare right here, but that's kind of an interesting wing.
Sunrise.
It bends with the environment. And you guys got to remember one thing. They're traveling at 40 to 50, maybe even 60 miles an hour on a freeway, and this is not moving one bit. A lens flare, if it was a lens flare, it would not sit solid with this. I don't care what anybody says. This is the dark star, the blue dwarf, blue Kachina. This is what we've been looking for. And we can see by the coordinates, it lines up perfectly with the Herculobus system. I'm not going to call it Nibiru system anymore because, of course, we have outlined that before in the past. Of course, here is another picture. How many times did I say of course? I love saying that word, of course, because here Martin Michael Guerrero shot this shot. Boy, doesn't that look a lot like, it looks like it's in front of the clouds, and it looks a lot like the orb that was down at New Mars Station. Another person, everybody's trying to direct everybody to T-Bar for his debunk. What kind of credentials does T-Bar have? He has about as much credentials as I do. But I can tell you, we can tell it's an organized effort because they said, let's see if Donnie takes the bait. Well, I've got the proof in the pudding, and we've got another shot of it right here, of another orb of some sort right within the clouds. We can tell, you are right, of course, but I just had to see if Donnie would take the bait. You're going to trust a guy that's going to try to set somebody up to bunk? If you haven't been over to check out my Before It's News, Planet X researcher Ursu Adams' 30 Degrees of Insanity YouTube channel has been terminated, you might want to come over here and take a look at the information box below. Because in this article, of course, I show you this picture of Herculobus right here. And of course, the eerie thing that happened on 410. Look at that orb right there, guys. Right here, that was above Newmar. And then take a look at that. Right there. Weather balloon? Not. Same thing. Same exact thing. But as we go down further, we'll see that I put up a
Fenomeno che affascina quello delle eclissi di sole, ma ogni volta viene accompagnato da strani presagi. Succede anche questa volta.
6 minuti senza luce. Il Sole verrà oscurato dalla Luna per l'eclissi totale più lunga di questo secolo. E quello che avverrà tra poche ore, un fenomeno visibile in Asia e che avrà il suo culmine in Cina. Da settimane su internet è partito il tam tam. Insieme a questa eclissi straordinaria potrebbero verificarsi altri eventi come terremoti e tsunami. A scatenare la paura e l'allarmismo è l'approssimarsi della fatidica data, il 2012, indicata dal misterioso calendario Maya come fine dei tempi. Ma non solo, ci sono anche strani avvistamenti nei cieli, come questo, ripreso lo scorso maggio a Padova, un piccolo secondo sole. E tra qualche mese, dicono i siti non ufficiali di astronomia, diventerà visibile ad occhio nudo. Potrebbe trattarsi del famigerato pianeta X, l'ipotizzato 10° pianeta del Sistema Solare che altera le orbite di Nettuno ed Urano. Quello che gli antichi sumeri chiamavano nibiru sarebbe in realtà una nana nera, cioè una stella che si è spenta, con un suo seguito di pianeti, forse 6 o 7. La sua ellittica molto allungata la porterebbe ad avvicinarsi al nostro Sole ogni 3600 anni, provocando sconvolgimenti cosmici. E adesso sarebbe per tornare.
Okay, so this is a pretty darn serious clip. I hope you guys pass this around. People need to see what's going on. I was setting up my scope. Crowette said, hey, look, there's an orb. And so manually I tried to get it in my scope's viewfinder, which is not an easy task. Anyhow, here's what I picked up. At first I thought it was an orb, and it's very difficult to operate the scope manually with no controls because everything's in reverse and you're kind of just swinging. You know, what you see is backwards to what you're doing. This is the object that I picked up. At first I thought, wow, finally we've got the telescope on an orb, but this is no orb. I've seen orbs and I've seen a lot of things that are bright like a welding arc. This thing was super, super white, but the sun is going down behind it. Now what happened here was there was a chemtrail that it's going through now that had been laid, I don't know, 10 minutes prior, 15 minutes prior. It was already starting to widen out. And then there was a fresh chemtrail laid just over it. Now I assume this was dropped out of that chemtrail plane. I don't know where else it could have come from. The chemtrails were very low and close together. As you can see, it almost looks like it has a phase on it. I don't know whether it's the sun coming through this thing or what's going on. But as this thing began to drop, I noticed another thing. You can see the chemtrails are going to the left, and this round, I'll call it an orb, it's not an orb, is going to the right, almost like it's being controlled somehow. It's going against the breeze that's pushing the chemtrails to the left. Now, watch this clip until 3 minutes and 30 seconds. You have to see what happens here. This was done over solid houses, miles and miles of solid houses, and I tracked it all the way down to the roof of my house, blocked me from seeing any further, and I edited this down because I have 15 or 20 minutes worth of footage of this falling. But anyhow, in a second here, you're going to see what happens. Here it comes. Boom. And all this, I mean, Lord only knows what's in this. I show you a few views here where I change the color, I slow it down, I zoom in. Now, here it comes again. And it looks like it got shot or something, but I didn't hear any bullet or anything like that. It just blew up. The crazy thing is all this stuff was falling, and I had the opportunity to track the stuff that was falling, and I think I picked the wrong object. What I ended up, by the time I got it on the computer, I realized I tracked the container that held this crap that they blew up over houses. There's a red thing that you'll see in the following footage. This picks up again right at the explosion. The lowest thing you can see here is like a red ember, and I was looking in a 3-inch LCD, so I couldn't really tell, so I picked up the brightest thing, which is that white thing, which I believe is just the container that held this crap, whatever it is, nanobots, chemicals, who knows, but it's all falling down into neighborhoods where there's wall-to-wall houses. I'm calling this thing a chem bomb. I don't know what else it could be. I didn't see it come out of the plane, but I don't know where else it could have come from. It fell against the wind. The prevailing wind was blowing the chemtrails to the left of this frame, and this thing fell to the right. There's the red object again near the bottom. It's a glowing ember, and you can actually see jets moving away from it and sparkles come. At any rate, I'm going to speed this up at some point so you don't have to watch it just fall and fall and fall. But I tracked this all the way down, and this stuff fell on houses. You know, I've filmed some astonishing clips. I've filmed what I think are holograms on the moon. I've filmed boomerangs that are clearly under intelligent control. But this clip right here needs to get passed around. Whatever they dropped out of this plane and whatever blew up out of this chem bomb fell all over houses. I don't know what else to say about it. Anyhow, I'm going to quit talking. If you want to watch the rest of this, you can. It just shows the, I guess, the container falling, and you'll see sparkles and other things come as it goes down, but I tracked it all the way down until my roof blocked me from seeing it, and I know damn well this fell on people, houses, gardens, water. Just, it's ridiculous. Anyhow, there it is.
Monday, January the 13th, 2014 at 11:01 p.m. Hello, my name is Eric Briggs. I did investigation work for Senator Jim Davis. After learning my friend of 20 years has Alzheimer's, and my work became part of a medical marijuana bill in 2012. Then I found my son was going to be taught his core curriculum and opposed that. My work on this got the legislature to unanimously reject the core, only to have the state superintendent push it through with the Fed anyways. My investigation of her became a state attorney investigation. I had previously moved my son and I out of Los Angeles the year before due to the fact I had noticed the stars were bouncing about 20 degrees in a night at Rice Point for about 20 degrees, then returning to start point north and south in about a week. I recognise this as our planet tipping because the constellations are supposed to move only about 1 degree a day in a process over a year going through the entire zodiac. Well, after having my work met with such good reviews, I decided at this point I think Davis and his sister are familiar with my in-depth research and felt confidence to approach them on this earth-tipping idea I had. Well, about halfway through my presentation, Jim Davis's sister, his personal assistant, stopped me and informed me specifically. We are familiar with the G1.9 red dwarf sun. Best case scenario, we expect 3/4 of the planet to perish in this event of passing. In short, the FEMA camps, coffins, furnaces, indefinite detention, martial law, UN troops, joint force troops like Russia and China are all for cleanup after this event. They are expecting it to pass very close by our sun. They expect this spin our Earth is on to come to a stop fairly abruptly, causing surges in the tide worldwide. Due to both motions of tip and spin, it has already begun to occur in places all over the world. Jakarta, capital of Indonesia, is 40 meters under the ocean in spots. Fukushima quake and subsequent uptick since 2010 of 300%. The phenomenal sinkhole phenomena, the loud noises, all connected to this magnetic battle over Earth. If this passage is too close, we will be threading the needle between a sun, 4 planets and 7 moons, and the sun will be burning much colder than ours. This will produce much iron oxide and iridium, and debris being from grain of sands to 70-pound iron rocks. Coronal ejections reaching deck, scorching earth in fire and radiation. At the same time, most likely Northern Hemisphere, Europe and US mainland. The North Atlantic Trench, the most likely grip point of the sun as it passes, will hold us still in space for a couple of days before releasing and possibly flipping this planet at the speed of magnetism. This would of course remove the sea from its basin, rip fault lines and shake the entire planet. The shaking will not be tectonic, more like the game you used to play as a child with a button between 2 strings. Pull the strings, the button spins. Pull the strings very tight, it will shake, vibrate. The water will be poisoned on much of the planet. The sky is full of dust that may take decades to settle. Fully expect every volcano that has gone off in the last 300,000 years to also erupt, adding to the dust layers, making an ice age very possible also. This followed with me begging them to disclose. She responded, "We are putting out disaster prep commercials." I responded, "You have made prepper a dirty word." She said the counties are also preparing for this. I informed her she lives in the Bible Belt, and when people find out she and her brother knew, they will hang you from the street poles. She responded, "I will be in my bunker." It escalated from that point with things I much rather not repeat. But know this, since that day I have been on this computer yelling everyone, look at the moon, flipping 180s in the sky, nightly wax to wane, is no joke in 12 hours. And so far have met a few folks having been looking for answers, but I don't even know how to take a screenshot, let alone make a video. I do know what I've been told and swear to it. I've even boldly tied my name to a specific senator and bills and actions of this state directly influenced by my investigating, as nothing more than a concerned citizen that once took pride in serving in the US Navy, helmsman of the USS Texas from 88 to 89, from Bering Sea to south of the equator and almost all points in between. I'm proud to be able to continue to serve my civic duty as a concerned parent through my volunteer work for this state of North Carolina. I firmly believe if more citizens exercise their civic duty, our country would never have gotten to this point of deception, greed and power-mongering it has become. Now she very specifically said to me, this projected outcome will happen before spring of 2014, which correlates with my personal nightly observations. These are as follows. In short, what's the apogee of the moon from night to night? The moon is never supposed to be more than 5.1 to 5.8 degrees off the ecliptic. It is also a southern star field as well, the sun moving east to west. The apogee is varying well over any limit of the thousands of years of observations. As well, the angular shift of the moon and phase due to field rotation. These formulas are based on 4,000 years of steady, nothing changing about the moon. We set time itself to the phase well before it began to flip 180s a night. This following link, calgary.rasc.ca/field rotation.htm. Here is just one to help us figure for our latitude the angular shift. Well, throw this away if it is normal for all latitudes to see 180 due to field rotation. The only way to make this happen is to tilt this planet on axis. All motion of the moon in Earth's. The moon only moves 6.21 degrees in its orbit each 12 hours in the same direction as Earth's spin. It may as well be sitting still. All of the lunar rotation you see, extra from the charts here, is Earth tipping on axis 150 degrees discrepancy for northern folk in Philae, etc. Not to mention the fact for the last 2 nights the moon has set almost due north, tracked live on Facebook by many across the world in real time. For me, I account the fact I noted this rocking in 2010. Fukushima really began the world events rolling with the change in earthquake scale. The repositioning of GPS was more like a reprogramming of the GPS to try to keep up with this as it escalates, becoming harder to do. As we see planes crashing into tarmac, no warning as an indicator, trains derailing, semis turning over on straight runs, OG highway are all indicators of the wobbling effect, as it is not smooth but yet less rough than one would expect. There are lights in the night sky that appear from time to time as big objects depending on our tilt. They are always visible now, though as moonlight over the horizon when there is no moon or no sun, due for hours last week, observed all week by many again in real time. These lights vary from all around this horizon, east, west, south and north, so they are definitely moving positions around, not mistaken city lights, as I for one live in western NC, about 15 miles from Cherokee, which is not the light in my north, which there is nothing but smoky Mount Forest for hundreds of miles, and to the east Asheville 50 miles away. I have yet to see source, but know quite a few that have, including my son's grandmother above Philae. Mum said, however, the light at night can clearly be seen, even if you can't see the almost moon-sized red sun every night. Its light is there. The stars also are no longer rotating so smoothly. The Big Dipper at sunset has been almost due north since last fall. It is also moving northwest for a couple of hours, well against the grain of normal rotation being west to east in the northern field. The Inuit Indians are also having trouble star navigating to find their way home from hunting and cannot travel at night anymore. I can no longer stand on my porch and point at you and your either. My only solution to this is telling folks to bottle water and prepare as best they can, get away from the ocean, 500 miles minimum. Now I contacted the Hayward County Sheriff's Office about 6 months ago to confirm they are preparing. After bouncing me to and fro, I came in contact with it, in charge of disaster prep. He was reluctant at first to talk, so I obliged by continuing to speak. After about 3 minutes he decided apparently I knew more than he was told and began telling me of bunkers full of meals and the deputies travelling 40 miles to get pallets of water from Costco. I informed him his watershed would not be thereafter and suggested they fill 2,000-gallon containers instead. The disaster prep specialist at Hayward County told me, "Wow, that's a great idea." Lots of laugh. I wonder why he didn't think of that. So at least interior North Carolina counties are preparing. I haven't a clue as far as anyone else, as I'm a self-employed full custody dad of a homeschool 9-year-old D. I haven't the time to worry about other states, truly. So there you have it, total confirmation from the very top of the United States power structure, the US Senate. The proof are elected officials who you put your trust in, once elected, turn their backs on the people who elected them to high office by preparing their own survival while ignoring to inform the people of this coming catastrophic event. This is pure evil and total genocide.
All ice on the ground. Ow!
Dat sy wind ons nie eens affekteer nie.
Ek is so overwhelmed.
Ek kan so is ja. Maar gelê, maar kyk nou net. Ja, so daar's nou oor die pad.
Wat hy het.
Ek sien dit gooi baie.
O, shit.
Dit gaan deur hy ou se skuur.
Oh my soul. Kyk hy wind.
Ja.
Het jy daai sparks gesien daar?
Terugdrade.
Dis weg.
Ek het dit gesien.
Okay. Ek dink hy is net by dit.
Ek is besig om te ry.
Okay. Ek dink ek vir die beeld se wat is nog nie vir jou video.
Today is February 5th, 2014 on a Wednesday, 4:01 p.m. Pacific Time. And up next, Chinese troops prepare to invade as Obama prepares to declare martial law. And this is for the viewer to decide. It's just information. It's dated February 4, 2014. This newly released video from Shaka Ama confirms much of what we have been hearing recently from other sources, that massive numbers of foreign troops have been coming into America for months now. We learned that Chinese ships are off the coast of California and that troops from Russia, Germany, Italy, and other countries have joined the Chinese troops in preparation of collapse here in America.
What the fuck is that?
I don't know, but that's creepy. But maybe it's a nuclear bomb, dude. How do you do it?
What the fuck? That's so creepy.
Did you get it?
I'm taking freaking video.
Okay, so get that one over there.
I did.
Wait. Clear it off. Did you save it? You just erased it. Let me see it.
That's the freaking sun.
But that's not the sun.
I don't know what that is. Creepy is what it is.
The death toll is now at 613. Christchurch has been hit by a devastating earthquake.
An unknown number of people are still trapped.
It's been nearly 24 hours since a powerful earthquake touched off a huge tsunami that swept across Japan's east coast.
Our thoughts and our prayers are with the people of Japan.
The summer of 2010-2011 will be remembered as our summer of sorrow.
So are all these disasters connected? Well, that depends on who you ask.
The magnetic field of the Earth has decreased more than 60% in the last 2,000 years. And some scientists see a direct relationship between the going down of the magnetic field of the Earth and the increase in earthquakes.
Nature unleashed its fearsome power on the people of Japan today in a double disaster that's caused massive damage.
An 8.8 on that coast of Japan inevitably was going to be a very bad earthquake.
The ground shook for minutes. To appreciate what that could mean in California, consider the damage caused in just 15 seconds.
It was clear the world's most technologically advanced country was no match for nature's fury.
That you wouldn't have thought that a Hollywood scriptwriter could come up with something like this: earthquakes, floods, tsunamis, nuclear.
One last thing I want to point out too, we see Arcturus right there, and if we go to the left, we're going to see Saturn and Mercury, but they're way too far to the left. And right now Mercury is in retrograde, but okay, I don't know if that's on camera right now, but we can see Mercury and Saturn right there, and going to the right Arcturus is up here, but what I'm seeing is somewhere in here inside that circle. So, and it's not that satellite. But it's going to be interesting. We'll see if I can get a picture of it tonight. Okay, see it? See it flashing? And when I see it flash, I'm going to lift my camera up right in front of the lens to show you what I'm looking at on sky. Absolutely nothing. Yet there it is. You see it flashing right now. Now my camera is not the best camera for this, because I keep getting the image and it goes in and out. And I'm doing, like I said, I'm doing this with a Canon PowerShot. Oh, that's beautiful. Just kind of center it a little. There we go. See all the colors? Because it's zoomed in, I can't show you sky once again, but I've shown it numerous times, and there is nothing there. Now this is to the left of Arcturus, and it's way off to the right of Venus, and Venus is beautiful right now, but this is nowhere near either of those. Now you can find more pictures and video on n5d.com. I suggest that you go there, and there's all sorts of reports from all around the world of this. So right now I'm trying to study everything on the, oops, kind of lost it a little. There it is. Where'd you go? Oh, I lost it again. Actually, what I want to do first is put the sky application up there. Well, because it's zoomed in a little, it's hard to really focus in, but there's nothing there. That says west, that blur in the green, but I got the zoom on, so you really can't see anything. Alright, what I'll do is I'll zoom out a little. Yeah, that's it. Nothing there. Absolutely nothing. Okay? One last thing too. Okay, we're looking directly at sky, right? Sky, S-K-E-Y-E. And like I said, off to the right, there's Arcturus, and way off to the left, and I doubt we're going to catch this in there in the picture, but there's Venus way off up there. It's in the center of the camera, but we're going straight ahead right here, and there is nothing. Well, this is cool. Okay, you can see it changing colors. I'll try to zoom in a little bit better, but this is our best shot so far. And hopefully on the video editing I can zoom in on this a little bit more too, but this is just straight through the video recorder on my Canon PowerShot. Trying to adjust the camera so it'll just sit there. Oops, I lost it. Where? Look at the colors. Okay, I'm just going to leave it there. Adjust it a little to the left. Okay. There you have it, folks. Look at the colors, red, green. For more info on this, be sure to check out the article on in5d.com called Unknown Glowing UFO in Evening Sky. And on there, you're going to find a bunch of testimonials, pictures, and all sorts of information about this. And I would appreciate it, too, if you know anything about this, if you've taken videos or pictures, send it along to me, and I'll include that in the article. That's it for now. This is Greg from In5D.
Oh, shalom, Rastafari. Ainayistalin, brothers and sisters, I pray that there's light in your gates and there's peace in your habitations, shalom in your habitations, brothers and sisters, and even all visitors receive the grace of the King of Kings in Christ. This is the Lideta Jesus Christos, the Metasebia, the memorial of the birth of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Okay, I was showing you this right here. I wanted to begin off. This actually is touching on the weather situation. Let's see. This is from the AOL, and wanted to bring up something that was in tune. This is some of the latest news as we go into the 8th, right? As we go into the 8th, but we're still in the meditation of the 7th of the Ethiopian Lidet, the Lideta Jesus Christos. Okay, here's one right here. This is one. You can see right here, we're speaking about the cold air tightens nasty grip on America. Now, the Torah portion, the 15th Torah portion that we're in, presently concerns the plagues of Egypt. And no doubt you all know that we've been preaching and teaching on the spiritual Egypt, or the city, right? Speaking of mystery Babylon, the city, which is spiritually known as Sodom and Egypt. And just very interesting, the correspondence that we have in this present time. This is like a rhema word speaking about what is going on presently with these dangerously cold, this polar vortex, as they call it, cold polar air snapped decades-old records on Tuesday. Now, Tuesday, of course, is Lidet, right? It's a Lideta Jesus, or is the Ethiopian and the Orthodox and the early Christian church commemorated this time and kept this in their memory this time as the true celebration of the birth of Jesus Christos, this particular time. Now, this time, as we touched on in the video, actually, from the ancient church records, commemorates, yes, the birth of Christ, but not in the way that most believe it commemorates the birth of Christ. It's more the witnesses and those three witnesses of Christ. And even more importantly, Christ entering into Egypt. That's another correspondence right there for this present time. This is a testimony saying that from our studying of the scriptures and of prophetic manifestations, I think it's very interesting and noteworthy what we presently, right, are experiencing. In other words, what present, though this word is overused, but I think here appropriately, the signs, right, the signs of the time. And this cold polar vortex, polar shift, perhaps, breaking records. I think they said 1896. I was like, well, 1896, that's the Battle of Adwa, right? The Battle of Adwa. So the basic message right here, the reminder and the meditation, is how interesting that in real time, as people say, we are experiencing a sign of the plagues of ancient Egypt. Now, some people say, oh, I'm over dramatizing that. It's not a dramatization. I mean, it's not even a reenactment so much. It's actually what many of us are experiencing. Then I also thought about what the scripture says about the light, right? The light and revelation. And for those who are in the light and the revelation, there is, spiritually speaking, light in our gates. And light emits heat, and hopefully there's heat, right, in our hearts, and also that we are warm in this particular time as the record cold air tightens its reportedly nasty grip on America. Is America spiritual Egypt? Stay tuned for that video right there. We touched on that subject matter, and there's definitely a relation there. But this particular sign of these records being broken cannot just, wash, so to speak, over us. Though it's not like the rivers of Egypt in the sense, but it's the rivers and the waters in America are freezing cold. And that actually matches the correspondence as well as east and west. In the east, it would be the heat, you understand, and more of a wetness and hotness. And over here, the polar opposite being in a different region, but still the signs in principle, right, are one and the same. Let's look at this next picture right here. Okay, what's this one says right here? It says Chicago weather now too cold for polar bears. How interesting, weather too cold for polar bears, right? Okay, let's look at this. And this is also another interesting title right here. Massive waves pummel Europe. A weather alert was issued in several countries. So many countries are being affected, and many around the so-called world, especially in the Gentile world or the Anglo-European, Anglo-American world. Now, of course, there's probably certain residuals happening in Africa and Asia, but definitely probably nothing like this with the cold, at least. At least it would be different in that sense, and it's not reportedly being reported, but we'll check up on that. So we have a couple of signs in the weather. Now, we haven't gone into the Passover comet in too much detail in this present season, but when we study Moses, even Moses' birth, in comparison with Jesus' birth, and with Jesus and his mother and Joseph going into Egypt, fleeing from Herod, is also a very important sign right here. So we have a couple of correspondences, both in the Torah portion with the plagues, right? And this weather definitely can feel like a plague, if not a curse. I guess a curse for those who have a guilty conscience, but definitely a plague, which all are being affected. When there was famine in the promised land, even the patriarchs and the matriarchs were affected. So this is a sign for all who are on the face of the earth, right? But the real sign right here is the birth of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christos, right? As the shepherd said, and witnessed this great light and this light dwelling amongst us in our heads and our heart, and that light giving us heat on the spiritual and hopefully psychological level and even physically. But it begins in our spirits, right? It begins, we can't change what's going on, but we can change our perspective. You understand? We can change our perspective to what's going on. Now, with that being said, I just thought about another correspondence is that since this Torah portion is the first Passover, right? The Passover. I wonder what's going on out in the heavenly signs. Since we're basically focused on signs on earth, we know that there are signs in the heavens. And when the Israelites, during the first Passover, there were heavenly signs. And one of those signs was the nibiru sign, right? Or in the ancient Egyptian perspective was the Hathor's comet, because basically when that planet or that star or that heavenly sign looks like the bull's horn with the with the orb on it, similar to the ancient Egyptian symbology of Echit Heru, or Hathor, so that Hathor comet sign. Later on, this sign was misinterpreted and misapplied by the rebels during the golden calf incident, when they sought to make gods, make a god for them to deliver them, blah, 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 like to the sign that brought them out of Egypt. So they were looking at the signs, but they were misinterpreting. They were misapplying it. It was a misap. It was a misap. They had misapprehension as to what these signs really are. So similar to us in this present time, let us head rest with Jah to really see what these particular signs that we are seeing also in the weather, in the unsettling discovery. Look right here about super volcanoes. So extremes of heat, right? On one hand, and that also is being affected by the earth and what's going on in the core and the magnetics. So what is shifting the magnetics? We know about Ison passing by, right? But we know that the Babylonian world system is ominously silent on the heavenly signs. They're not going to say, hey, nibiru is passing by right now, and that's causing such and such, and the magnetics and nemesis, or whatever they want to call it, the big one and the small one, the binary is passing by right now, and that's causing such and such, because of course that will affect their world system for people to unplug and say, well, the system can only do so much. We now have to turn to a higher power, right? And to the higher power, and to the Son of God, and to Jesus Christos in spirit and in truth. So I think that's an important sign right here, that in spite of the polar vortex, and in spite of the obvious correspondence to the plagues of ancient Egypt, we have to focus on the light, and we have to focus on the truth and the right, and we have to make sure that our perspective, because we'll suffer more by having a misapprehension of what this really means, and even a wrong reaction. So grace, my brothers and sisters, in grace and in truth, shalom, Rastafari, more to come. Stay tuned. Be in the light, right? Be in the heat of the light of Jesus Christ. Shalom, Rastafari.
Before the prior times was the beginning. After the prior times was the olden times. In the olden times, the gods came to earth and created the earthlings. In the prior times, none of the gods was on earth, nor were the earthlings yet fashioned. In the prior times, the abode of the gods was on their own planet. Nibiru is its name. A great planet, reddish in radiance. Around the sun, an elongated circuit Nibiru makes. For a time in the cold, Nibiru is engulfed. For part of its circuit, by the sun strongly, it is heated. A thick atmosphere Nibiru envelops, by volcanic eruptions constantly fed. All manner of life this atmosphere sustains. Without it, there would only be perishing. In the cold period, the inner heat of Nibiru it keeps about the planet, like a warm coat that is constantly renewed. In the hot period, it shields Nibiru from the sun's scorching rays. In its midst rain, it holds and releases. To lakes and streams given rise. Lush vegetation our atmosphere feeds and protects. All manner of life in the waters and on the lands to sprout it caused. After aeons of time our own species sprouted, by our essence an eternal seed to procreate. As our numbers grew, to many regions of Nibiru our ancestors spread. Some tilled the land, some four-legged creatures shepherded, some lived in the mountains, some in the valleys their homes made. Rivalries occurred, encroachments happened, clashes occurred. Sticks became weapons. Clans gathered into tribes. Then two great nations each other faced. The nation of the north against the nation of the south took up arms. What was held by hand to thrusting missiles was turned. Weapons of thunder and brilliance increased the terror. A war, long and fierce, engulfed the planet. Brother amassed against brother. There was death and destruction, both north and south. For many circuits, desolation reigned the land. All life was diminished. Then a truce was declared. Then peacemaking was conducted. Let the nations be united, the emissaries said to one another. Let there be one throne on Nibiru, one king to reign over all. Let a leader from the north or from the south by lot be chosen. One king supreme to be. If he be from the north, let south choose a female to be be his spouse's equal queen to reign alongside. If by lot a south male be chosen, let the north female be his spouse. Husband and wife, let them be as one flesh to become. Let their firstborn son be the successor. Let a unified dynasty thus be formed, unity on Nibiru forever to establish. In the midst of the ruins, peace was started. North and south by marriage were united, the royal throne into one flesh combined, an unbroken line of kingship established. The first king after peace was made, a warrior to the north he was, a mighty conqueror. By lots, true and fair, he was chosen. His decree and unity were accepted. For his abode he built a splendid city, Agade, unity meaning was its name. For his reign a royal title he was granted, On it was, the celestial one. With strong arm order in the lands he established, laws and regulations he decreed. Governors for each land he appointed. Restoration and reclamation was their foremost task. Of him in the royal annals, thus it was recorded, and the lands unified. Peace on Nibiru he restored. He built a new city, the canals he repaired, food for the people he provided. There was abundance in the lands. For his spouse, the south, a maid had chosen. For both love and wearing, she was noted. On, too, was her royal title. The leader who is On's spouse, the given name clearly did mean.
Alright, here's another shot. Right there. Just right there next to the sun. Right there. Finger test. Right there. Alright, here's another shot. Right there. Just right there next to the sun. Right there. Finger test. Right there. Alright, here's another shot. Right there. Just right there next to the sun. Right there. Finger test. Right there. Alright, here's another shot. Right there. Just right there next to the sun. Right there. Finger test. Right there. You can see the reflection moves, that thing on the top, it doesn't move.
state of Texas is dealing with those devastating wildfires we've been telling you about, fueled by a severe drought. Now, some folks are trying to do something about it by wringing a little more rain from the few clouds that are in the sky. Nearly 85% of Texas is in exceptional drought conditions right now, 99% considered severe or worse. This is being called the worst drought year on record there. Some parts of Texas have seen 68 days with temperatures above 100 degrees. Check out the map. Yellow showing states that are abnormally dry in this country. The dark red means exceptional drought conditions. With us now, Stephanie Beal, the project meteorologist for the Southwest Texas Rain Enhancement Association. Stephanie, rain enhancement, we're basically talking about cloud seeding, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And how do you know that it works? You're sending up airplanes that drop flares that burn silver iodide, and that puts silver iodide particles into clouds, right?
Yes, that's correct. We actually, here in Texas, we fly at the base of the cloud. We're looking for the inflow region of the thunderstorm, and this is what mechanism we use to actually get the silver iodide into the proper part of the cloud where we want it to go to enhance the rainfall.
But how do you know that it works? I mean, how do you measure rainfall from a cloud you've seeded versus what might have happened if you hadn't done anything?
Here in Texas, we actually have an analysis done annually for each of the 6 projects that's operating currently. What the analysis does, it actually compares the seeded clouds to a non-seeded cloud, say outside the target area, or maybe a cloud that formed right along the target area border that was going to move out anyways. The gentleman, the scientist, that does the analysis will compare the seeded versus non-seeded clouds and use the non-seeded as a control, which has a similar characteristics, similar type of air mass and such as the seeded cloud, and he does a mathematical analysis on that, and from that we can tell how much additional rainfall we are actually producing.
The idea, I guess, I mean, those thunderstorm clouds contain obviously a huge amount of water, but what you're trying to do is to get them to drop their water more gradually and not just dump it all in one place as a thunderstorm can tend to do?
What we're trying to aim to do when we're seeding clouds, we don't necessarily try to increase the intensity, although we do see that sometimes. The main goal of what we're doing to do is trying to get them to rain, I guess, stay alive longer, if you will, and so therefore, as they travel longer distances, they can drop rainfall over a larger amount of land than they would have if they were not seeded.
This used to be a state project, but it's my understanding the Texas funding for this kind of thing dried up, so you're actually paid for, you're actually funded by some of these water districts in the state?
Yes, that's correct. In 2002, before 2002, we had matching state funds. In 2002, there was a budget crisis, and they were no longer able to give us matching funds. So most of the projects that are still operating today were able to pay off all of the equipment that was needed for the projects, the airplanes and other things. So now, yes, all the 6 projects that are running currently are only operating from local taxpayers and other water municipalities through the water districts.
Well, it is gold when it falls from the sky, especially in a year like this. Stephanie Beal, we wish you well. They're in
Every newborn shall die. Every firstborn. Wait a minute, is that a funnel cloud?
No.
No, look, it could be. Then that half comes down.
No, it's not no funnel cloud. That is the creepiest thing I've ever seen. Just got like over us.
Collapsing clouds. They'll probably like turn their tornado.
No, it just changed. That's the creepiest thing. Okay, come on.
It's like a lapse in the clouds. It's really weird. It's like these clouds come up and that one is like coming under it.